Hello and welcome to Miniatures Rundown. I'm here with Sean.
Hello.
And I'm Josh, and today we're talking about Leagues of VOTANN, specifically Nerfed.
The Nerf bat.
So if you didn't see, there was a wonderful video by Games Workshop's self-deprecating, totally definitely their actual owner and CEO.
He is Games Workshop.
Well, he's James Workshop. Functionally apologizing for the state of the VOTANN book upon release, admitting that it was overtuned, and accompanying a series of tunes to the army. So we're going to talk about today, basically, A, was it justified, and B, is this the way to do it? I think Sean and I have some differing opinions on this one. But first, here's what actually changed.
So the only real changes were a slight point increase, as well as some reworking of the
Judgment tokens. The judgment tokens, previously, when you had stacked enough of them, you could automatically wound an opponent. And more importantly, when that happened, it also triggered all of VOTANN's on a 6 to wound, get a special ability thing.
Yes.
They've removed that particular part. So you can now choose to auto wound an opponent, but you no longer trigger their extra effects.
Correct. You now need a natural 6, which does make a bit more sense.
Yeah, it makes a little more difference. The key one, the big one there is probably the railgun, which on a 6, the damage carried over.
Yeah. The spill damage on that is super nasty. To be fair, it is currently in its current state only available really, to 1 in every 10 on your troop units. So not a big weapon I felt needed to be nerfed, but I do feel clarifying that its ability should be proccing on natural 6s and not automatically is very key and kind of how the game should be played.
Yeah, it's a dangerous road to just say, it's all about stacking those bonuses and stuff, and just having the bonuses just automatically go off felt kind of not really in the spirit of things to me.
Yeah.
So we were also accompanied by kind of a pretty general across-the-board points increase.
Yeah, though looking at it, it's not that big. Your main troop unit went from 11 points to 12, if you want an idea of how much they're increasing. So while they are a little more costly, it's not massive.
The biggest jump, I think, was in the Land Fortress.
Yes.
Which went from, 240?
Yeah.
To 300.
Yeah.
Which, given that thing's stats, like that was the only one I felt was absolutely like a great idea, because that thing, for what it was capable of and what it was capable of carrying, was really cheap.
Yeah. 300 is still not bad, though.
No, it's not. No, it's still very playable. It has not been priced out of points.
Yeah. Looking at a lot of it, while I don't agree with the changes, I felt they were kind of fine. I also not mad because it's like it almost feels like a change in name for most of them, where it doesn't change my list at all.
Yeah, I'm noticing a lot of players didn't have their list change drastically, especially not with this Wave 1 release.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the kind of the reasoning behind this and what this sets and what this actually says.
Yeah. So the reasoning behind it is, of course, obviously all the complaints we had from overseas, a lot of tournament organizers not liking what they were seeing with it. I personally feel a lot of this could be coming from the fact we're lacking playtesters now outside of GW's personal circle.
Yeah, this was the first codex, where GW playtested this entirely internally. And according to GW, part of the problem was that this was playtested against pre-nerf Eldar and Tau.
Yes.
And Tau and Eldar also did receive nerfs not too long after launch.
Tau were super strong at launch.
Yep, and so were Eldar.
Yeah.
Maybe Eldar a little less so. Eldar was a little more about learning what they could do and how to fight them.
Yeah.
But they were still pretty they got some justified changes.
Yeah, not as bad as the Tau cannons that
no.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, the Tau cannon was also, but that in of itself, on the one hand, that's an okay justification. On the other hand, this is why you need
them playtesters.
That's why you need playtesters.
Yes.
And Games Workshop, being the behemoth of our industry, I don't feel has that excuse.
No, not at all. I mean, if bad reference, but Triple Game Industry has been doing this for decades. You can't have in-house testing it. The bias is there, where I feel you need someone who's going to literally try and break it.
Right. You need a good old Tom Lyons from Warhammer Weekly to just destroy your game and tell you why all the ways you did it wrong.
Where's all the broken parts?
Right. So that is a problem in itself. And if the internal playtesting thing was to try and prevent leaks, it sure didn't work.
No,
because the entire VOTANN Codex got leaked.
Yeah.
So whoops.
Where are we winning on this one?
I feel like that was either. I mean, the less cynical the less cynical take is that internal playtesting was a response to the leaks. They were trying to keep a lid on those.
Yes.
Because the leaks were affecting public perception of the things before they came out, because leaks paint an incomplete picture.
Exactly. People get small little chunks of it.
Like the Tau.
Yeah.
And then it turns out the things that people got leaks about were not what was good in Tau.
Exactly. It is the wrong chunk of the iceberg.
In the VOTAN cases, it was just the entire Nang Codex was leaked. So I guess that's not. But clearly that didn't stop leaks. The more cynical take is that GW just doesn't want to pay or deal with outside playtesters.
Yeah, I see that too, as well as the time it takes to send it out, let someone playtest it, get feedback in. I can see them trying to streamline things.
That might also be because when you have to send things out, and it takes time to send it out, it takes time to get it back, it takes time to have to collate all that feedback.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to catch up on a release schedule. I mean, clearly they're behind, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that could have been it. In either case, this was and also, this is something that's worth remembering that I feel like the community kind of forgets sometimes, is that these books are printed a really long time ago.
It is not it's not like a month or two.
This book was not printed 6 months before release. This book was printed a year before release, at least.
Oh yeah.
So they're right when it was printed in a very different environment.
Yes.
And no, you can't just take them, throw them all out, and reprint them.
No.
That's a massive, massive...
The trees alone!
Now, we could talk about maybe Games Workshop's reliance on physical books when better digital versions would do.
Especially for point costs. That's the one the gripe I get. If something that could easily be changed more often to help alleviate, a certain faction being strong, it's, have a universal point cost at least.
Which they are starting to move to with their, every few months now they're doing points changes. So we're kind of moving to a digital world. I would love to see a world where there are no points in the books.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm alluding to is, have the good fluff, have
or there are, because I don't want to lock people out who can't easily access the internet.
Yeah.
Which does, apply to more people than we might think. It's sometimes easy for us to forget that because we're terminally online, as it were. But there are people who just want to buy that book and not have to jerk around with PDFs.
As I compare, what I like is when you get into like Age of Sigmar and it's your General's Handbook that has a supplementary point thing.
Mm-hmm.
I see that could be really handy in 40K to produce more often.
And they kind of have that, and they're standardizing the system.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a different discussion. GW's reliance on books and their desire to sell them.
Yeah.
But it also is there's two things I want to address. One, community hype or hubbub.
Yeah.
Because we were all hearing about this tournament in Germany is banning VOTAN before they came out, but that was never actually proven.
It wasn't proven, and also a lot of tournaments typically do that for new factions when they haven't had any ereditas or factions.
Right, because we all remember Harlequins.
Yeah.
Space clowns ruin your life. Killer clowns from outer space.
Yeah, they'll say no one loves clowns. I feel it kind of hurts though that this happened 5 days after release, so it's gonna hit a really big sore spot with a lot of people, especially with the point increase.
That is the other side of this. Is I want to talk about GW does have the problem, and this has happened now 4 times in a row, where they release a faction, it's very good, and then it gets nerfed after release.
Yeah, immediately gets nerfed as soon as it hits the tables, where
or
it
a couple weeks or a month or so.
Yeah.
And that does hurt. On the one hand, for a game balance decision, absolutely. I think people need to get over it.
Yeah.
But also, Games Workshop, I don't want Games Workshop to leave the points broken just because people bought their toys.
Yeah.
But I also think that, we've seen the leaks now of what you pay your rules writers.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that we should not do post-release updates. But I think we need to be more on the ball about that, and I know they can, because over in Age of Sigmar Land, we also had this issue, but it was handled much better.
Much cleaner.
Well, the Stormdrake Guard, at the end of last year, they were previewed, and we got the book. Now, this was a case because we got the book before the models came out.
Yeah, we did get to preview them a bit more.
We got the book, and then everyone saw the book, and they went, holy crap, these are undercosted. And then
ridiculous.
Before the people bought the models, GW was like, look, we don't want you to buy these models thinking they're not going to be that good, so we're nerfing them ahead of time.
Yeah.
That was the correct way to handle it. Maybe you can't do that with a full book.
No.
Because the books never get previewed by GW until they come out.
No, not entirely. You only get small little sections.
And they can't acknowledge the leaks, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a tough spot. It truly is. But I feel, once again, getting to the fact where your book within a month or two is almost inaccurate is a sore spot where...
That's the other thing. If you're paying $60 for a codex...
More for a collector's one.
More for a collector's one. And then it's immediately invalidated. Now, in this case, it's just one line of text and some points.
And some points costs. Not too bad.
And I guess it's hard to talk about that without talking into the greater discussion of GW's book addiction.
Yeah.
And how they want you to buy all these books and then immediately make them useless.
You will have a library. It will be Warhammer.
Right. And most of it will be useless. And like, that sucks.
It does. It does.
So I know I think we're less negative on this than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I think that the points, I'm going to disagree with you and I say that the adjustments were justified. Especially the 6 to wound one.
I'll agree with that. Hurtfully, the points I feel meh.
The land fortress I feel was absolutely yes.
I'll give you that one.
The other ones I'm a little less
1 point increase on your troop. Really?
Well, that almost feels token.
Yeah.
It feels like say we're listening, but also
not.
Ding! Yeah.
Checking the box.
You hit the up button once and just kind of went bing. All right.
See, we did it. We did it.
But all in all, I'm not terribly upset about the points. It's just. And I'm not upset about GW doing this. I'm upset about the way they did this.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to put it. Overall, I am happy that you have a game manufacturer that is listening to the fact that the world is screaming, hey, these need an adjustment.
We're not Iron's handsing this.
Exactly. While it does hurt that it is so quick after release, at least they're listening.
But it looks like blindness for them to release this and then a week later go, oops, it was overpowered.
Yeah.
You guys have had this book for a year.
You've been sitting on it for a while.
But the other option was to release a PDF and go, oops, the points were wrong.
Yeah.
But they did do that for Age of Sigmar books.
Yeah.
And they could have done it here.
They could have, maybe it being so big and new, they didn't want to spoil it.
I think that was what they didn't want to do, is they didn't want to spoil it. But it would have been less of a feel bad for the moment people ordered their box to go, hey, but then I guess they can't do that because that would have been previewing the book ahead of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And GW really, really, really wants to keep a tight lid on their points and their war scrolls. And I think that's the root of the problem.
It's kind of a rock and a hard spot.
Well, but it's their own rock.
It is.
It's a rock to which they've changed themselves. They are Sisyphus, except the only one who's decided to push this rock up the hill is themselves. And Zeus is going, just use online stuff. You don't have to keep such a tight hold on the points. And they're like, no, yes, I do. Like, Age of Sigmar does not have this same obsession with keeping the points under lock and key.
No, not at all.
GW needs to lose it for 40k because this entire situation is a result of Games Workshop's obsession with controlling the information of their points and their rules.
Keeping it under lockdown, waiting for you to get that book.
Buy the book. You have to buy the book.
Yeah.
We won't acknowledge leaks. We won't acknowledge any kind of other outside source. Just embrace it because all of this could have been avoided if they weren't so
reliant on that hard copy and just a little more forthcoming with the digital assets.
Yeah, I think that's our take on it, is more digital assets.
More digital assets. We love it.
And Sean especially is king of the digital asset. Can it be bought in PDF? Sean's got it in PDF.
Yeah, give me all the PDFs.
Books are for nerds like me. I like my physical books, but
it's a lot to lug around.
Yeah, or accidentally get covered in antifreeze in the back of your car and then you lose all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter, you are. So is the antifreeze. Anyway.
But yeah.
So any closing thoughts from you?
That's about it. Excited to get the rest of the VOTANN stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm still excited for Wave 2. I really love these models. Don't know if I'll play them in 40k. Their weakness is still apparent. They are a very slow-moving army that is not actually that tough.
And that is my big overtake on them too. They're coming from, even like I said, Necromunda with the squats. Their movement is huge, so huge. And when you got short, stubby legs, you ain't going far.
Yeah, just kind of.
Please don't shoot me while I try to run to my objective.
Yeah, but on the flip side, it's not fun to face an army that just shoots you off the table, even if like, and the opponent just goes, you should have just moved around me. And it's like, I couldn't. You shot me.
You shot me while I did try to run around you.
So there's a fine balance there. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I look forward to seeing them actually hit the tables.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be seeing that soon. That's it from us this week. We will talk to you next time. There's some incredibly huge, important 40k hubbub, which is, next week. So
35th anniversary. Let's go.
See you then.
See ya.